Hi everyone, my name is Riccardo and I'm an Italian 19-year-old student living in the UK. I've been living in the UK for the past 3 years, so as I'm currently attending university, I always have so many of my friends asking me, what's it like to study in the UK, what's it like to attend university in the UK, and what's it like to just live in the UK and specifically in London as a student. So I hope that with this video I'm going to talk about my experience so that everyone who is thinking about doing the same thing or hasn't decided whether to go to university in the UK yet can have a sort of insight into what the whole thing is about. So without any further ado, let's just get started, I guess. Okay, so the first thing that I'd like to talk about is university application. You can apply up to 5 different universities or up to 5 different degree courses. It doesn't matter if you apply to the same course in different universities or if you apply to separate courses in the same university, so you can literally use your 5 choices however you want. It doesn't also matter if you're an international student because there are specific entry requirements for each country, but I can tell you that the most popular ways of entering a UK university is either through A-levels or IB. A-levels are the English equivalent of American high schools. Here they're called colleges, and you usually study for 2 years from 16 to 18, and that education is specifically aimed at giving you the basis for you to continue studying at university afterwards. You choose up to 3 or 4 subjects and you specialize in those that you would like to continue studying. The same thing is for the IB, but the IB is a bit different. The IB is called International Baccalaureate and has a more international outlook. I've done the IB because I didn't know whether I would have gone back to Italy to study at university or whether I would have continued here in the UK. It doesn't really matter if you want to study in a British institution, whether you do A-levels or IB, but if you're not sure what you want to do afterwards or which country you want to attend university in, I would highly recommend doing the IB because it enables you to choose universities in other countries and get your studies, recognized more effectively. You can do IB and A-levels in the UK both in public and private schools. There's fantastic state schools that offer it. However, it's harder to get into them. I was lucky enough to be admitted into one of the best IB state schools in the UK, and that allowed me to get into university pretty easily. But it also depends on other things like where you reside, your current academic performance, so there's lots of things to take into consideration before choosing IB or A-levels or before choosing state versus private school. But this is another thing. Now I'd like to talk about what's it like, or at least what my experience has been like thus far. I'm now revising for my exams, which are going to be in 2 weeks' time, and this year went by so quickly. I was very excited about starting university and this whole new chapter of my life, but it ended up being a lot quicker than I thought it was. It's probably a good thing, but I mean, I literally lose track of the time, and that's not good. So now I'd like to talk about my experience personally. I study psychology in a Russell Group University in London, and I must say that I think I've made the right choice because I'm really enjoying the course that I've chosen. I'll have to say that one of the things that make it so good to me is the fact that we have many international students, so you really get to know people from everywhere. And the teachers are all well experienced and evidently prepared. I also have to say that the workload is inferior to the one I was expecting, but that's probably because both in Italy and doing the IB here, I was used to doing a lot of work. Some people say that it's a lot, some people would say it's decent and doable, but it all depends on how much you've worked in your previous school. So if you are used to writing essays, so if you're used to, making oral presentations, it's all going to be easier. Whereas if you haven't done much in your previous school, or if you don't have, the basis that's required in order to attend university, you're going to find it a bit harder. That doesn't mean that you can't do that, but it will inevitably require a bit more effort from you. University is something that you should only do if you are sure about it, or if you think that it will benefit you in any way, or if you need qualifications for a particular job. Otherwise, if you're just doing it because your parents or anyone else want you to do that, so if you do it against your will, you're not going to enjoy it. So I would recommend you not to attend university if you are in that situation. I usually study for 2 or 3 hours a day. It really depends on the period of time. Sometimes I have more than that, sometimes I have less. For example, now I'm doing revision for my exams and it's a lot more than that. But if you are able to organize yourself, at least to some extent, and can do a bit at a time, you're going to find it easier than you're going to find it easier. Another thing that I like about university here is that you literally have the ability to engage in lots of extracurricular activities. Those are all aimed at socialization, meeting people, sharing ideas and interests and projects with other individuals around you. And many of the things that you do are things that could be useful to you in your life or for your career development. There's clubs and sports teams for literally anything, so you really have a chance to show people what you like and find other people that have the same interests as you. And that's something that in Italy we don't have. For example, we don't have clubs or student unions, so everything extracurricular is very limited, whereas in the UK, extracurricular activities are a vital part of the whole university experience. Lastly, I'd like to talk about living in London more specifically. I don't live in central London. I live in a town which is 30 minutes away, so I don't live in central London. Living in London is really nice. It's many people's dream. It's what every young professional adult would love to do if they had the chance to do that, but it's also very stressful and expensive. So you really have to decide whether that's the right thing for you, because there's many other alternatives to London, both in the UK and in other countries as well. So I would recommend studying in London if you really like the British capital, and if you think that living in a huge multicultural city doesn't put you off. I would say that to me that's actually a very nice thing, because I like having people from everywhere around the globe around me. I love that London is so huge and that there's students from everywhere. I love that London is so diverse in the range of people that you can find, in the range of places that you can go have dinner at, in the range of diversity in terms of the places you can go to, because you just walk past the corner of a building and you find a completely different part of the city. There's literally a part of London for everyone, I would say, but there's so many people that life can at times feel a bit suffocating. I know people who have had nervous breakdowns. Life in the city can at times be stressing. One thing that is really important to bear in mind is that London can be very expensive. And by expensive I mean rents are expensive, its public transportation is the most expensive in the world. So you really have to decide whether that's for you, and you have to bear in mind that there's many cheaper alternatives to London, both in the UK and abroad. Really think about whether London or other cities in the UK are the best choice for you, both in terms of costs, experiences, whether you like it or not, actually, because that's the most important thing, I would say. It's also true that if you are a European or international student, you can ask for a loan on your tuition fees, and that's really helpful because you basically get to pay your tuition fees after you start earning a certain amount of money, and at least now I think it is £21,000 a year, so you only pay taxes, you only pay back your tuition fees after you start paying at least £21,000 a year. That's really helpful. Also, if you're a British citizen, you can apply for a maintenance loan. So you can ask up until, I think it should be around £9,000 for your living expenses, and also give it back to the government once you start earning a certain amount of money. And that's extremely helpful. With regards to other things like public transportation, it can really be a huge problem because it's very crowded. I'm talking about the tube, and buses also are usually pretty slow. And the reason for that is because there's too many people commuting, too many people using public transportation, and too many people also using private cars, and that is something that you would expect in a city that has around 8 million people and almost 15 million people in its metropolitan area. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope this video has been helpful in some ways, and if you have any sort of question on anything, just leave a comment below. And if you've enjoyed it, please subscribe to my channel because I'm going to talk about my life in the UK. Also, if you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you soon. Hi everyone, my name is Riccardo and I'm an